And we are live.
Okay, good evening. I would like to call to order the February 8, 2021 Lake Washington School Board study session. Let the record reflect that all board members are present and participating remotely. All meeting participants are also joining this meeting remotely in alignment with the current proclamation issued by Governor Inslee. This meeting will be live streamed and viewable on the district website. If you are unable to live stream the meeting, viewers can call 425-936-2813, conference ID 37127. And that will be the same as well for the business meeting of the board that follows us at 7 p.m. Regular board meetings and study sessions will continue to be live streamed on the web and posted on the website for viewing within 2 days. There's one topic on tonight's agenda for the study session, and that is social, emotional, and academic supports for students and responding to student experiences and needs during the pandemic. Dr. Holman, can you kick us off?
Absolutely. At our last board meeting, there was some discussion and really requests for some additional information around how are we supporting our students in terms of social emotional learning, mental health supports, academic supports, given all of the data and experiences we have really from the beginning of this school year up until now. And so really a large team, as you can see, has worked on answering those questions for the board. And so tonight we have a presentation for you. I know there are more slides than we probably should have for a presentation, but to truly respond to the questions that the board had, the team really felt it was important to put a relatively thorough presentation together. I think what comes with that is if we spend significant time on any one subject, then we won't get through the presentation. And so I would ask, as we go through the presentation, if there's questions of significance that will help truly clarify what the team is talking about, make sure we have those. If there are questions that you say, well, some additional follow-up would be beneficial, take note of those and send those to me afterwards so we can do board follow-up, because we know what you're going to hear tonight is pretty significant. We have almost a full 2 hours to be able to go through this, so I know there will be time for dialogue and questions, but just want to put context. There's about 50 to 55 slides full of significant content in all of this, and it's pared down from what the team started with. And so I'm going to hand it off to Matt so he can lead us off and get started tonight. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Holman. And I'm going to go ahead and pull up the presentation. Put that on presentation mode. All right. Are you seeing that, John, on your end? Okay, great. As Dr. Holman talked about, today we really, the board actually for the last couple of times that we've met has asked a lot of questions around the ways in which we're responding to the experiences and the data that we're seeing from first semester. And really this is, want to help inform, provide the board with context to inform the ways in which that it can understand the operational expectations and results. And we're going to cover really kind of three big categories. First, we're going to spend some time talking about well-being and all the ways in which the district, our schools, our administrators, our teachers are supporting our students' well-being and the ways that we're working with our community partners to do so. Then we'll look at the ways in which we're supporting our students' academic success in primarily a remote environment. And then we're going to transition into talking about and how do those programmatic district-wide supports, how do they manifest themselves at the school level? And so the work that our administrators and our building level leadership teams are doing, as well as the variety of really dedicated staff and partners at the school level to try to meet the needs of our students. So, and again, as Dr. Holman mentioned, we started very comprehensive. We've tried to work to scale it back a little bit. And there'll be some information that we'll be sending over later this week in the form of some board briefs to accompany this presentation. I'm going to start just a little bit. One of the things, I know the board gets, regular access to, kind of hard quantitative data around student attendance and grades and things like that. But we actually undertook a pretty significant effort in the fall to gather the voice of our students, staff, and families through a Panorama survey. And this was the largest effort that we've had in working with Panorama to really try to gain some insight into the experience of our students. And so that survey, we had about 17,000 student responses. We surveyed students grades 3 through 12. And it was a quite comprehensive survey. We asked our kids about their academic needs. We asked them about the cultural awareness and action. We asked them questions around learning model, engagement, and relationships. And then we had, comparatively with staff and family, some similar questions that allowed us to kind of pull out some key learnings from that experience. We actually asked Panorama to analyze the data and develop a report for us, which they completed just this other week. So I'm going to share just some quick highlights, and that's information that we can provide the board in the form of a board packet later this week. One thing to know about Panorama survey data is most of the questions are on a scaled response. And you can see here in this example that two of the responses tend to be on the negative side, 2 tend to be on the positive, and 1 is somewhat of a neutral. And Panorama only reports their data in terms of favorable. So they don't report any neutral responses. They only report the 2 most positive responses. So when we're looking at that data, it's important to understand how they report what is considered favorable. Panorama pulled out that from our students' experience, our staff, and our families' reflection that there are some definite strengths from our efforts this year. Communication was called out as an area where as an area of strength. Available resources. 87% of our 3rd to 5th graders, 96% of our 6th to 12th graders indicated that they have access to the tools that they need. And then our students' perception of their effort also was an area of strength. Our students indicated really to a high degree that they're putting in great effort this year. When we look at some areas of growth, peer-to-peer relationships jumps out, and that's quite understandable. When our students are in a remote environment, their opportunities to interact and connect with their peers, is just not what it was used to, and so that's an area that consistently where students are reporting pretty low levels of connection with their peers. Social emotional well-being of students is an area of concern that was shared by our staff and by our families, and so we're excited to talk about our efforts on that tonight. And then we know that we continue to have disparity among ELL, special education, and different racial groups within the district, and so Panorama had pulled out some heat maps. We're not going to go into that level of detail in this presentation, but allows us to kind of get some better insight into the experiences that different student groups are having in our school system. When we look at our student results in the categories, we have some areas where students are responding favorably, and some where they're not as responding quite as favorably. And I want to point out, I think that the relationships, if you look at the least favorable question on that set, students not feeling connected with each other for our elementary students is the lowest area, and yet. The most favorable question that even despite being in a remote setting, that our students report having a connection with an adult. So that's certainly something that the work of our teachers and adults in the school system to try to create those strong connections is something to celebrate. and looking at how we can continue to try to create connections between peers is an area for us to focus on for growth. Similarly, when we look at our secondary students, you actually see that number for student relationships go down, quite a bit. The connection with each other is fairly low, although the connection with an adult is actually increases. So this data from Panorama is really important for us to inform the ways in which that we're thinking about student well-being, the types of supports that we put in place. And I'll be looking forward to share a more detailed report from our survey data with the board. But I just wanted to put that in context as we go to talk about well-being, is that, our survey from, students and families and teachers really pointed to well-being as an area of emphasis and an area that's a big challenge for us in a remote setting. So I'm going to introduce a couple of my colleagues here in just a moment. Johnny Fu, our Director of Student Services, and Gloria Henderson, our Director of Opportunity, Equity, and Inclusion. And they're going to be helping us explain our efforts around social, emotional, or mental health. We're going to talk about how we promote protective factors, how we're mitigating risk. We'll highlight some of our racial equity supports. We look forward to being able to go into greater depth in that area in a future presentation. We'll look at some of our interventions, and then we'll talk specifically about attendance. So I'd like to invite Johnny Fu to just give us a little context on the experiences that our students are having based on what we know about how people experience disasters.
Yeah. Good evening, and thank you for having me this evening to talk about well-being and the importance of, especially during this pandemic. And this graph comes from the study around natural disasters and what happens after a large tragedy or a large trauma that is prolonged in duration. And one of the things I want to highlight here is we are in month 12, and with us approaching what we hope to be the valley of this pandemic, there are signs of social emotional distress that we need to be aware of. This graph has guided the Student Services Department in how we approach the work each month in considering what might be popping up in schools and how might we minimize or neutralize some of those adverse behavioral and social emotional impacts during this pandemic. So if you go to the next slide, Matt, we're definitely in month 12, and we're definitely in the valley, and we see a heightened anxiety and depression. We might see that in our children right now, potentially some of our children's friends, and just know that this is the height and sort of where we are wanting to come to some kind of closure. And our hope is that we are headed towards recovery and not a second wave of this pandemic, because what we want to head towards is sort of this resiliency, building on this wellness, being able to grow and thrive in what is going to be our recovery moving forward. Next slide, Matt. The reason why this is important and why I want to share this particular graph is this is just normal, typical life, right? We have highs and lows, but it's within our normal emotional range in which we can manage. And I want to say manage, but what happens in a pandemic or in what we call complex stress is the duration and frequency of stress that we're experiencing actually fluctuates beyond the typical emotional range. And that's where we begin to see some heightened anxiety, or lows of lows is depression. And that's where it's important that we build skills in not only ourselves, but our children as well. This is the opportunity where we can really buffer some of the risk factors in the pandemic through buffering their own protective factors. And what Matt described was definitely the adult relationship. Their peer relationship is key and critical. And then the ability to manage their emotions during this stressful time. And so what we want to do is maintain students in that level. And when we think about wellness, and what I'm going to get into in a little bit is wellness is just not one piece of the puzzle. It's just not your mental health. It's not your physical health. But all these things are interrelated. When one suffers, oftentimes if you have strong enough skills in the other area, it can compensate. But oftentimes what we know is, let's say when you are socially isolated, your mental health and your emotional health also suffers at the same time. So when we think about wellness, it's not just one thing that we do, but it's comprehensive. We have to look at the environment. We have to look at our social context. We have to think about our physical health. Where are we at? Do we feel well? Because feeling well also helps us feel mentally well. And our emotional health is, do we have connections with our social support? Are there social supports there for us in challenging times and in good times? What does that look like? When that's going well, we are whole and we feel a sense of well-being. Next, Matt. And so knowing that wellness is very interconnected and it requires many different factors as far as community, social context, I just want to just give a huge shout out to our community, Lake Washington School community, because this work cannot be done without the collaboration that we have. We have strong collaboration within the community that has direct impact on our students in our school on a day-to-day basis. And so when we say we're impacting students, it's not necessarily all of what we're doing as a district, it's really what we're doing as a community. Especially in this pandemic, I've seen our community really galvanize and come in and think about our student well-being. And that just shows up. Here are the majority of our partnerships. There's also other partnerships that I wasn't able to fit on this slide, but these players have had a significant influence on how we approach supporting students, not only just at the student level, at the school level, but the district and the community level. And that's why this what makes this work so important. You're good, Matt. So what I'm going to get into is really our first layer when we think about supporting students is, how do we promote well-being and protective factors? It's not intervening. Is what we want to do, and we know well, is that if we can promote and build skills and wellness, we can actually prevent the risk factors from having adverse effect on us that it's going to affect us long term. So one of the biggest things that we're focused on as a school district, and Matt, you can go to the next slide, is social and emotional learning for our students, and not just our students, but really as a whole system. And there's 3 key focus areas in which our departments really cater to and thinking about how to best support students and staff during this time. How do we maintain a supportive classroom environment? And that really starts with building a foundation to support our teachers. What is the system and how often are we creating time and space for them to think about relationships with their students? We offer multiple sessions around how to cultivate a trusting relationship in a remote environment. What does that look like? And how is that different than being face-to-face? In addition to that is promoting staff SEL competency, meaning that if the adult, and there's research behind this, is if the adult is strong and competent in their own adult social emotional well-being, that will actually translate to their students. And so again, here we have created work groups to dive into how do we build capacity within our adults right now. And it's sort of timely that we're all experiencing this together. We might be responding in different ways, but we can use some of these social emotional skills that we're trying to build in our students, we can build within ourselves around self-regulation, thinking about our feel-good plans. We've hosted multiple trainings across the year to be able to promote adult wellness so that can translate into the school building, which is then focus area number 3, promoting SEL for students. What does that really look like? There's a couple ways that we can think about social emotional learning. We can think about explicit social emotional learning, which is a curriculum that has a scope and sequence. And that's something that we are looking into at the elementary level. We have Character Strong at the middle school level, and we're beginning that journey at the high school level. One of the things that we have intentionally focused on since the pandemic is really how do we create a supportive classroom environment that is positive. And with that, what we have done is built out SEL toolkits and activities for teachers to take and be able to deliver in a remote environment that promotes connection, that promotes wellness and promotes awareness and some self-regulation. And we're extremely proud of the work that our groups have done to be able to bring this to life I could not do this without an amazing crew. We have 5 specialists that is really building the capacity of our system to be able to deliver social emotional learning.
All right, this time I want to introduce Gloria Henderson, and who will talk about some of our Tier 1 supports that that she and her team have been putting in place when we think about racial equity and centering on our students and families. Gloria?
Thanks, Matt. So we think about supporting our students and families. There are some big buckets here, and I'll just go over them briefly, as Matt said, because in another session we'll go more in depth. So one of the things we're concentrating on is supporting staff and directly supporting students and families of color and enhance in engagement and collaboration. And so we think about this is that we want to equalize power with families, equalize their sense of self within this. So part of that work is collaborating with our schools, and that looks like working with our counselors, leaders, and our equity teams to ensure that families have their needs met. And we also do direct connection around resources that have to do with housing, food, clothing, and health needs. And we also work with our schools to ensure that the needs that students have related to the pandemic, such as around their learning needs and technology and emergency family assistance, we do that as well, because we want the school to be the direct connection to our families, but we know that sometimes they need that support too within their buildings. And another thing that we are concentrating on is having dedicated spaces for our historically marginalized students so they can express their voices and get their needs met. And this is not in a way to fix our students. Our students are coming to us whole. So we want them to have a connection with other students within their schools and across the district, which sometimes is even more difficult during the pandemic. So we have, for example, a Latinx Cafe at Redmond Middle School, and then we'll be starting that at Redmond High School soon. And we also have affinity groups for our Black, African, and African American students in some of our regions. And so, again, the need for that is to ensure that students have their needs met at different levels, similar to what Johnny was talking about. And we're also working on continue to collaborate with our school leaders around those equitable systems. And what that looks like is our building equity team meetings that we have 4 times a year, along with those direct supports to support their equity teams to ensure that equity work is embedded across our system. So it's just not a small group of people's work. And another thing my team does really well is that we are working to create supplemental curriculum to support, to have a more culturally responsive approach. And so we work closely with the adoption teams and the teaching and learning department, and also one-on-one with schools as they are working through our adopted curriculum to support their needs. And we want our students to feel connected and that they are connected, so they see themselves and students that may not be in a marginalized or underserved group, that they see other students and people from other historical and contemporary perspectives. So in that way, we're taking a holistic approach to supporting our students, whether it be in the community, within their schools, supporting student voice, and that they see themselves in the work and in the conversations that they're having. Thanks, Matt, for that.
All right, thank you, Gloria. So Johnny and Gloria have just kind of given a really brief overview of some incredibly comprehensive and systemic work that they're both leading. So we're going to now, I'm going to have them share some specific programs that are in place to help meet the kind of Tier 1 needs of our students. And so I don't know, Johnny or Gloria, which one of you is going to talk about ACE, but I'm excited to share with the board the work that the two of you are doing here.
Yeah, I'm excited, and Gloria, feel free to jump in. We've partnered with Academy for Creating Excellence, ACE, which is out of Seattle, and they've recently received a $1.3 million grant from the city of Seattle to be able to be in Seattle school districts, providing this program specifically around Black African male students. Currently, right now, we've identified 18 male students in Lake Washington's grades 6 through 12. We started last week, and it was an amazing session with our young men. It is weekly meetings on Wednesday from 2 to 3:30. One of the things that we're really excited about is the adult male mentorship that each student receives. It's individualized. It's opportunities to reflect on what their strengths are, what their goals are moving forward, and how might they achieve and accomplish that. What's great about ACE is they just go beyond the classroom. They give some experiential opportunities, thinking about their connections with Amazon and other workplaces around the Puget Sound area. And one of the reasons why ACE exists and is a program is really to increase the sense of belonging and really this empowerment model of what it means to be as a Black African male student going through the K-12 education system. We're excited that this just started, and we believe that this is going to grow. And our hope is that at the end of the year, when we survey these young men, that they will say this is one of the best things that they've ever done all year long. And that's one of our goals and hopes. And this is really, I want to thank Gloria for this collaboration partnership to be able to get this off the ground.
Thank you. Did it.
The other thing that is vital and is really important during this time is when we think about mental health is really creating an opportunity to have conversations about mental health. When we talk about mental health, at times it can feel overwhelming. It can feel like we don't have the tools or the language to talk about mental health. And one of the things that we want to do is to make sure that we equip the adults in our buildings to be able to talk about mental health in a way that destigmatizes and opens the door for opportunities to have discussion about how might a student feel, and how might they get help. One of the things I'm really excited about around Youth Mental Health First Aid training is the partnership between Lake Washington Schools Foundation to be able to train our staff. And we began back in late November, and to this date, we have 92 staff members trained. And for some references, each training has a capacity of 15. And each training, we are either at capacity or have a wait list. We still plan on continue to train staff in March, and with the support of the school district's foundation, Lake Washington Schools Foundation, we hope to continue this training not only in March but into late spring and then throughout next year, because increasing adult mental health literacy it's only gonna impact students' mental health literacy, because it destigmatizes how we talk about mental health. And so it relates to the next slide that Matt's gonna move forward with, is with Youth Mental Health First Aid is a training for the adult. We now have the opportunity to train our teens within our high school buildings. And this was a pilot project that we did last year through SAMHSA. What's great about this program is it takes what the adult mental health first aid and makes it developmentally appropriate for the high school level around what is the language, what should you be listening to, what are some of the warning signs, and then how to help your peer get help. How do you do that warm handoff? Because what we know now is our students are first line defense, right? They are getting inundated with social media. They are concerned about their peers, but they don't necessarily know where to turn to. This is the opportunity in which we can do so. Last year, we pilot our program at ICS. This year, we are looking at piloting at additional schools, ICS, STEM, Lake Washington High School. It's been formatted to be remote, and they're gonna SAMHSA is gonna turn on the remote module come March, and we hope to have a time scoped out in the coming weeks around how we might be able to teach students around youth mental health first aid or teen mental health first aid.
And Johnny, I think you just mentioned something there is pretty significant. Working with students around mental health, particularly when we're talking about students who might be in crisis. That's a challenge when we're able to do so in person. And so I really appreciate the thoughtfulness that Johnny and his team, as well as our partners, have in trying to figure out how do we responsibly engage in these conversations and supports in a remote environment. So I'm excited that that work, they have a way to move forward so we can keep those conversations going, even in a remote environment.
Here's another example of partnership and why partnership is key and critical. That, you know, as a school district, we can't do it alone. We've partnered with YES, and over the last year, we've actually increased the amount of support. Now, our middle schools receive about a half-time clinician at each building, and that has grown quite a bit in terms of the capacity to build up some of these protective factors, and not only our staff, but our students as well. So as we think about psychoeducation, what does that really mean? And bringing awareness to our students allows them to manage and be able to identify where they are and be able to seek help. And we want to get to them, it's okay to seek help. It's okay to not be okay. And some of the work that they have done is they're participating within our MTSS team. They've really helped support some of our committee work in terms of implementing student well-being. And one of the things that you'll see is on the right-hand side is the graph. So pre-pandemic, what you see is a high number of students that was able to be served because they were in person. Now being in remote, the challenge is getting in front of students. How do we access students while they are in class? How do we offer some of these psychoeducation where we used to have access to? And so the number has gone down somewhat, about half of what they have done in the past year. But what we are doing in response to that is bringing clinicians back on Wednesday to be able to serve students, be able to drop in. We know that the remote environment has been somewhat of a barrier for students to seek help. So we're excited. It began last week. Our YES counselors have been back at the building for a week now, and all signs have been positive. One of the, I want to highlight this particular slide because we know the risk that happens in a pandemic like this or a natural disaster is right around 6 to 8 months. We begin to see a higher rate of suicide because of the mental health challenges that is presented. I'm really proud of our partners, YES, Evergreen Health, our school counselors, and our COSA to come together and collaboratively work on how do we make sure that we set up prevention and intervention protocols to be able to support students who might be in crisis. And this isn't just sort of, hey, if you hear this, do this. Not only have we been able to establish a protocol, we have also been able to embed trainings for all staff to access. We've made videos. We've had drop-in sessions in which we have talked to administrators and teachers around what are the signs to look for, how to have a conversation with the students, how to keep a student engaged while being remote. I believe this has been highly impacted, just like teen mental health first aid and youth mental health first aid, in helping teachers feel confident and comfortable having conversations with students who they have concern around, as well as developing student social emotional learning.
All right, thank you, Johnny. And as you'd use the term COSA, I just want to, for the board, that's a counselor on special assignment who's working with us at a central level to help support our counselors in the schools.
Mm-hmm. Thanks, Matt.
You're welcome. All right, so now we're going to talk about some of the interventions and ways that we're mitigating risk and reinforcing those protective factors with, and Johnny's going to talk about some specific interventions that he and his team have been working on.
You know, in a pandemic, we know we're in a natural disaster. We know that there's going to be mental health challenges or sometimes crisis that arises. And so one of the things that we did as a department and wanted to be intentional is what are some of the interventions that have been shown highly effective across school systems. And we were looking at school-based mental health interventions, and CBITS is cognitive behavior interventions for trauma in school. CBITS is what we call it for short. And it is specifically focused on students who have experienced trauma. And what does that look like in terms of being able to access their education? We know that some of the symptoms and signs that might come up is anger, depression, anxiety avoidance. And so if we can identify students early on who are having trauma symptoms, we are able to intervene with a tier 2 intervention called CBITS. It's a small group. It is very specific and catered to students' developmental age. So for elementary, it's called Bounce Back. For the secondary, it's called CBITS. And so that's just a sort of name change, but Bounce Back is very focused on developmentally appropriate for elementary level. We were able to train 15 specialists. It wasn't just school counselors, but we have mental health specialists within the special ed department that were trained, as well as school psychologists. These small groups are going to be highly impactful as we move beyond month 12 and be able to identify students who are showing trauma symptoms, to be able to put them in tier 2 interventions that is going to mitigate some of that risk and really reinforce some of the protective factors that they already have. Matt, next slide. This is another evidence-based intervention that we have recently trained our clinicians, YES and Evergreen social workers on. It is BRIS. In a school environment, we want to make sure that we are providing effective and efficient interventions. And so we just don't want to provide just one-on-one interventions for a length of time. What we want to do is be able to assess, determine, and be able to build skills effectively and efficiently as possible with students. So BRIS is a 4-step process that our clinicians were trained in recently, that now they're administering and implementing. And what's great about it is it allows the clinician to see early on what the needs of the student are and to be able to move them forward quicker so that they're not in one-on-one therapy for one-on-one interventions for a while. It's actually relatively fast that we are able to move them back into just their general group. Thanks, Matt. This next piece, and I just want to give a shout out to our Evergreen Health. They are constantly and continuing thinking about how to host specific groups that cater to our student groups or our parents. Each week they host parent support groups. They offer self-care and coping groups for our students, mindfulness and coping with anxiety and depression. And this is impactful for our students as they are able to pop in when they're hosted across the district. It's not school dependent, but it's across the district. One of the things that Evergreen Health has been able to accomplish is to support 114 students across our district. And out of that 114 students, they've met with them for at least 835 encounters, as they call it, meaning that they continue to support them in different ways, not just individually, but that might be connecting them to resources, meeting with their parents. And so it's a holistic approach, it's just not an individual approach. And then this is YES as well. And as I said, YES is a very close partner of ours, and the partnership that they have formed with us is greatly appreciated because they show up in so many different ways. And as you can see here, Friendship Group, Nicotine, our expert work that we are doing with King County, they are a part of the SIT and IEP process at times. Again, if you see the numbers served, as you can see, is there we do have a decrease. And a part of that is identifying students in this remote environment can be challenging. Accessing services in this remote environment can be challenging because most of our teens are what they're saying is, do I have privacy? If I'm at home talking about what I'm going through and having challenges, is mom or dad hearing this, or is sister or brother hearing this? And so we believe that by being back in person once a week, it's going to increase the amount of students that will access our service because they feel like it's safe to go to, that they'll have some privacy and confidentiality. One of the things about the pandemic that we want to make sure to build on is parents' resiliency. Parents are going through this with their children, and there are days that it is really challenging. I have a 4-year-old, and sometimes she runs into meetings, and that can stir up a lot of stress and anxiety in the parent as well. We notice that's when communication breaks down. We also notice that sometimes as parents we can perpetuate some of the perpetuate some of the fear and anxiety in our students. And so one of the things that we have done is partner with Balance in Mind. Balance in Mind is an action-oriented group. It's a branch of the Lake Washington Schools Foundation. They have hosted 27 Wednesday parent chats with experts who have come in and chatted to parents about teen stress, about managing communication, creating structures. On an average, there's 35 parents who attend that. I have attended multiple, and I've been a part of multiples where we get upwards to 70 to 80 parents who attend. The other thing we know is building parent skills is really key and critical. And so we've partnered with CMAR to offer 4-week specific parent groups. And those parent groups are to build on the parent-child relationship, talk about effective parenting strategies during a pandemic, and then also increase positive communication between child and parent, especially when we're stressed, right? After a long day, how do we talk with one another? How do we transition to family life? How do we make transitions so that we can actually be present with one another? So I believe this is a key piece to making sure that our community is whole and well, is the parent resiliency work that is happening in our school district is strong. As well as this is a new addition, a new partnership that we've been able to form during this pandemic with the City of Redmond and City of Kirkland and our Lake Washington Schools Foundation, financially supporting this work in 4 of our sites. Communities in School has a long history of supporting schools. Schools be able to support students not only academically, but then also socially, emotionally, and then also make sure that any of the community barriers that a family is facing, that they have access to be able to case manage and support the family as well. So I'm really excited to be able to share tonight that we've identified 4 essential sites. Redmond Middle School, which we are interviewing for this Friday through Communities in School, Kamiakin Middle School, as well as the Redmond Ridge School, Ella Baker, Rosa Park, and Timberline, and our Kirkland's elementary school is Keller and Bell Elementary.
All right, finally, for talking about students' well-being, we're going to touch on some of our attendance supports. Later this week, we'll send the board some additional data on student attendance. We currently are tracking attendance both for synchronous and asynchronous. We see some gaps in terms of the difference between the two. Students are attending synchronous instruction at higher rates, on average, just a little under what we normally would experience, but different subpopulations of students are attending at different rates, and there can be a variety of reasons for that. Johnny and his team he works with the attendance specialists, and they provide support to our schools for students who have experienced chronic absenteeism or truancy. Truancy is defined as being absent without excuse or unexcused absences. And this year, the state has we are not using truancy traditionally, and yet we're still expected to be providing intervention. So Johnny's going to talk about some of the ways in which he and his team are trying to support students who are expressing chronic absenteeism that is really starting to have an impact on their experience, either their well-being or on their academic performance.
Matt, before we jump into this piece, do you think this is a good point to pause to see if there's any board questions about that first kind of almost third, or should we get through the attendance piece to then just check in?
Yeah, why don't have Johnny just talk about this, and
okay.
then this is really the last slide in terms of kind of student services and interventions. So.
Okay.
In like what Matt mentioned about the new rule changes around we're not pursuing truancy petition, and has allowed us to really rethink about our interventions and how we support families and identify barriers, and think about the collaboration that we have between community, agency, and school, bringing those resources together at the table to say, hey, what does that look like? And some of our specialists are running community truancy boards that is up and running. One of the things that I am very impressed with is our specialists are out doing home visits at least 4 to 8 times a week, and that varies between community. But we know which students that we have concern about, and identifying them is just not just being truant, but is there other factors that make us concerned? So what is their family concern? Is there mental health concern? Is there behavior concern? So thinking about the sort of the ABCs, sort of a warning system, is there attendance issue? Yes. Is there behavior, meaning behavior as in terms of social, emotionally, or mental health? Yes. And if there's coursework. And so essentially checking off all 3 or 2 out of the 3 raises the level of concern in which a BECA specialist would engage with the student. What's great about the new emergency rules is it really makes us refine and think about our system. And so I'm really excited that Puget Sound ESD has given us an opportunity to be a part of the cohort and thinking about our attendance systems of support. And being a part of that cohort is to assess our current systems of support, plan to improve system delivery of attendance, prevention, and intervention. What does that look like across our system? We're going to have a plan, do, act, and study report this in the next couple weeks. And then implement some of the strategies that we identify as being effective, or changing some of the ways that we implement our interventions, or shift our systems to support students' academics and behavior and attendance within our organization.
All right, so thank you, Johnny. So I think this is a good time for us to pause and take some questions.
So actually, I always go first, so I'm going to let Cassandra go.
I was interested to hear what you had to say, Chris. I may have missed this, but I wanted to make certain that families and students know that there's no additional cost for these services.
Correct.
Is that accurate?
Correct. It is not in addition, it is completely free.
Okay, thank you for clarifying.
So I actually had a question for Gloria, and it's we've gotten a number of emails from kids in the last week or so, who are asking when, if we believe in Black Lives Matter, when we're going to see changes in the curriculum. And I'm very interested to see the audit, review, and create supplemental curriculum. Is there a way we can give a time frame to kids for when they should expect to see things change? I mean, I imagine that there's some supplemental stuff coming in piecemeal right now, but that there should be bigger changes in the future.
With that, a lot of it depends on the cycle of our adoptions, like for our standing curriculum and not just supplementary part. Right. And so it's really taking a systemic approach to it, such as supporting people's shifts in belief systems about what's centered and what's not centered. And also that it's around instruction also, because we have some staff there in different places. Some people feel more comfortable than others around discussion and critical thinking around that. And so I think it's really a long-term part of the general equity work that we're doing. For example, we have 7 hours that dedicated to racial literacy, microaggression, stereotype threat, those type of things, so that when people do, and our staff and our leaders do engage in this conversation and this work with students, that they have that background knowledge. And then for specific curriculum, like my team, we have collaborated on ELA adoption, math adoptions. We have some teams embedded with social studies. And then there's one of our schools in the Juanita region, they have an ethnic studies class, and the goal around that is that it's just not standalone, that it's embedded. But I think a lot of that I know a lot of that will shift over time due to the adoption cycles that we have. And with the supplementary part, I have 4 of my equity and family engagement facilitators, along with the liaisons at 2 schools and an equity specialist. We work closely on a case-by-case basis with some schools, and even what we put forth in our building equity team meetings. So it's really multi-layered, because if it was just about adopting a curriculum, then I think a lot of things that can happen unintentionally around people teaching something that they're not ready for. And at the same time, our kids are farther ahead than we are. And so it's a layered approach of that training around and work around belief systems, recentering what history looks like, and even how we teach. So it's around that cultural responsiveness also. So some of this embedded work also happens with our professional learning, and our other departments where we have language and literacy with the culture responsive teaching. So it's really a group effort across, not just coming from one department. And so I think with the work that we're doing as a department and across the system with shifting people's beliefs and how they engage students, and with that, I think it's really a multi-year approach instead of taking it as something that is a technical thing. So I think some students will see it more than others, like those that are looking for it. But I do think it should be that we're going to get more explicit as we do it, as that work takes hold with our leadership within our buildings. And that way it's not just coming from one department, that we have our leaders in sessions and training, and those shifts are happening there. So that means those teachers make those intentional shifts, especially when you think about academic freedom that teachers have with curriculum and shifting and bringing things in around that supplementation. So we're not supplanting something. And so it's really a journey with this. And at the same time, we're doing intentional moves to ensure that students see it at different levels. But I have to say it will, I think, be a multi-year approach to it. So it doesn't seem like a flash in the pan, or we're just doing something for the sake of doing it without that understanding around it.
That's what I hoped to hear. Thank you.
Mark, you want to jump in?
Yes, a couple of things. One, Gloria, I assumed it was going to be an evolution of things, and it, having watched all the changes we've had in curriculum and so forth over the years, I've never seen anything that happened overnight. You don't flip a light switch and change it. Perhaps you and Dr. Holman, I'm sorry, not been one of my days, could put together some kind of a response to students who are concerned that they aren't being heard. I don't want them thinking they're not being heard and getting angry about it. I want them to understand the process and to show that we're doing it in a very thoughtful way, and not just slapping something together that they'll feel like they've been patted on the head and sent on their way with. It might be very helpful to those students so they won't feel ignored. Just
exactly. Yes. And that's like, there are pockets of students that we're working with as well to collaborate on this work, and even just in general around our social justice and equity work. So it doesn't just happen in a vacuum. Yeah. And so we have pockets of students in different regions with this. So I think that so we can be more broad about how we communicate on it. And I think in a session coming up soon that we'll be able to give more, there'll be the time to give more detailed information, and so students can see how that plays out across the next few years.
Great, thanks. The other point, or other question I had was for Matt. When you introduced the presentation, the survey, it says only reports on the positives. Don't we learn from the negatives as well? Or am I misunderstanding you?
Yeah, so the way that the survey reports out is the percent favorable. So if you were to see 34% associated with an item, it's on a 5-point scale. 2 are negative, 1 is neutral, and 2 of the responses are clearly positive. The percent positive or favorable just indicates those first 2 items. So no, I mean we learn from the good and the bad, and that was one of the reasons why we made a pretty big investment in asking our community and our students for their responses, and it was one of the reasons we asked Panorama we've had access to the data. We've gone in, our school administrators have gone in and have used that to help identify at a student level the types of supports that are needed. But as a programmatic level, we wanted that group, and it's one of the benefits of our work with them for them to go through. And so, again, they've produced a report for us. Happy to share that with the board. I was just wanting to kind of use that as a set today, and to just as far as some of the things that our students and families were telling us that we learned in the fall.
Well, in the report that you can send to us, or will be sending to us, will it include the negative responses as to what the parents or the kids see as not working?
Yeah, well, I think the way they look at it, so like some of I pointed out about some of the student responses about there was a low percentage of favorable responses regarding student connection. And so, so if we see that, I can't remember it was pretty low for our high school students. I think it was maybe 8% favorable of having a strong connection. Well, so, you flip that around, and that means there's a sizable number of students who are reporting in the negative. So
I understand that, but since you've got 2 on the positive, 2 on the negative, it seems to me that I'd hate to find out that they were so negative it wasn't even funny. But because that slightly negative one, that gives you some scope. So you're not totally off the target. You got some people that just aren't quite feeling good about it. I've worked a lot with that sort of thing over the years, and it really helps to know how wide the disparity is.
I completely agree with you, Director Stewart.
Director Blazner, I think you're next.
Thank you. I'll just thank you for that comprehensive presentation. That was fabulous to get all those different components, and it's clear those community partnerships are coming through really strongly, and there's been a lot of effort put forward in that. So greatly appreciate all those work, because as we all know, it is a community that raises, we can't do it alone. So we appreciate all the supports that come in. In regards to the Panorama Survey, I'm assuming that we can get a copy of that as well. And knowing how much input has been received by our students and families, will we be putting up a summary onto our website as well that will sort of highlight those key areas so that our community as well, I think of nonprofits in the area that might be interested, families that could be interested, just to see those sorts of things.
Yeah, exactly. And that was one of the reasons why we commissioned it because we actually have, we have access to the data in an internal portal. And so we can go and do kind of get some of these views. And we knew that our community would have an interest, similar to how we do like the Healthy Youth Survey, right? Which is where we publish that information every 2 years when we get it on the website, so that there's a level of transparency. And again, our community partners, they use that information as well, and so we just it's kind of hot off the presses. This is the first group you're the first group that we've shared some of those highlights with. So, and we'll need to socialize that as well internally with our leadership team, so that they kind of have some understanding of some of the big takeaways that Panorama found for us.
And I think they can provide a lot, even along the lines of when we speak with our legislature of what's going up and sort of some of the challenges we run across, or where the good things are that's going on. I think there's probably a lot in there that gives a lot of insight, especially with all the work that's been done. So, it's great. So let's use it like the Healthy Youth Survey to really build those pieces of where we go from there. The other question I had was on communities and schools. They've been around for a while. I'm just curious as to how those schools were chosen as to the ones in which we're going forward with the middle schools as well as the high schools, and how will they interact with the PTA, which is another one of our very large volunteer and community-driven organizations. So just curious how that fits.
Yeah, great questions, Harry. These four communities were chosen based off of current level of supports, current level of needs, known needs. And so, and this was a collaboration, not just sort of, hey, Lake Washington, let's make some decision on this, but as a community. So City of Redmond, City of Kirkland, and myself came together and talked about what is our community needs? What are those pockets of needs? What is the story that we're hearing? Are we hearing that, up on the ridge, there's a transportation issue because they're up on the ridge and there's a limited amount of access to support? what are we hearing with those families? When we hear about Bell and Keller families, right? It's like, what is unique about that community that is preventing, or what are some of the barriers in which communities and schools can help increase and support and connect? So one of the things I'm really excited about communities and school is their ability to connect and really bridge services and support from school to community and families. And so they've shown a history of doing so. I'm really excited and grateful for Jamie, who is the executive director for the Renton Tukwila branch, to be willing to engage in this expansion for the next 2.5 years. And so we specifically chose these sites based off of what we've heard from the community, where the community wants to go, and then schools being ready to be able to support that work within their buildings. And so it's multi-layer. It wasn't just Johnny or Lake Washington School District decision, but it really was a community decision in which we wanted to hear what were the collective stories that we were hearing from parents in our community, and then how does that look in the school building, right? And so then we spoke with the administrators and like, tell us your story. Does the story match what the community is saying? And so when it matched, it made sense for us to create partnerships and start at those 4 schools. There's also schools that are higher on our list, but due to financial constraints and our ability to expand the work this year, we weren't able to think about some of those other schools in this initial expansion.
Great, thank you. No, that's good to hear. It'll be exciting to see how that plays out over time. And with that, I was also intrigued. You talked about the attendance and the community truancy boards and how the shift in rules is making the rethink of going forward as to how we handle truancy and absenteeism and that approach. And this probably isn't for tonight, but I know that I'd be intrigued to know how our community truancy boards are operating and sort of what their effectiveness has been over time. I know that was a legislative move as well, and those components. So it'd be interesting as you learn these different things and do different things, what is that role within that environment and how we utilize that going forward?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Okay, we have a packed agenda, and I think somebody said at the beginning we need to keep moving. So I apologize to cut off discussion now, but I would like to get through the rest of the presentation now. And other board, if we have time at the end, hold your questions. We can loop back to questions for this.
All right, so I'm going to hand it over to Mike Van Orden, who will take us through the next section on academic success. And Mike, just let me know when you're ready for me to advance slides, okay?
Yeah, thanks. So, I want to start by saying everything you heard about well-being contributes to academic success. And similarly, students who have academic success, that contributes to their well-being. So we want to make sure we don't think of these as separate. They're very tightly connected. For this portion, however, tonight we are going to talk about some things very specifically related to academics. We'll start with some data summaries. And with those, I'm imagining that you'll have some questions about, well, why are you seeing what you're seeing in the data and what are your next steps? And so we'll talk briefly about each of those. Also, I think John and Matt both mentioned we'll be providing additional data sets as well, where we're, again, trying to temper how much information we provide tonight and how much depth to go into. So specifically, we're going to be talking about data related to grades, credit, how we're going to gather information about how students are doing so we can respond to that more effectively next year, how we're supporting our teachers, particularly as they've made this shift to this very new way of learning, and then some updates for our programs. So if we move to our next slide. So as I mentioned, we are providing some data sets, and I think there'll be 2 things that you'll be wondering as you're seeing these is, why are we seeing what we're seeing? So I mentioned that, and really, I think the answer to that you'll see, for example, in this data set is there's clearly something happening as a result of learning in a pandemic that's resulting in different outcomes for kids. And so that may be related to the remote setting that they're in. It may be related to factors in their lives. It's probably as well related to our teachers all teaching in a very different way. I'd say probably 99.9% of our teachers are teaching in a new way. So essentially our first year teachers. And so some of this data that you see, for example, in this case, when we're looking at semester grades, are probably related to some of those factors. At the same time, there's, as Gloria was mentioning earlier, there's some of this is also related to systemic inequities that we see not only in the education sector, but in healthcare and in the employment sector, that are just part of our fabric that we have to respond to. And so you'll see inequities that persist across these lines that we have an obligation to attend to. And Gloria mentioned some of the ways that we're doing that. So again, you see here that we are seeing slightly higher percentages or higher numbers of students that have F grades or N, which is no credit. Incomplete, I think we've shared with you as well that that's a student who has not yet earned enough credit to get a passing grade or a U grade. So again, you see by racial group that there's some differences, again, pre-pandemic and pandemic. If we go to the next slide. So this is for our high school groups. And again, the interesting thing here is you don't see quite as big a gap between pre-pandemic and pandemic. We attribute that to some extent to the fact that because there's graduation credit tied to many of our students' grades for most of their classes, that you probably see folks that are probably attending a little bit more carefully at the high school level to how students are doing than perhaps at the middle school level. And again, that's conjecture at this point, but that's our best thinking so far. We can go to the next slide. We also are seeing that we have students that have not earned credit in courses that are required for graduation. And as I mentioned at the beginning of the presentation, we're going to talk specifically about how do we address that. These are courses that students need to pass to be on track to graduation. And so that's obviously an area we need to attend to. We can go to the next slide. Interestingly, however, as you look at the data, that we do see some changes that maybe are unexpected. And unexpected at first blush, but I think I have a sense of why we're seeing that. And so if we look at grade point average as an example, our grade point averages for just about every group are slightly higher than they were pre-pandemic. And that is a result, we believe, of some of the mitigation that we put in place to address that. We know that students learning in a pandemic are at a disadvantage. And so we made an adjustment to our grading scale, similar to what many districts in our region are doing, of replacing an F grade with a N grade. And so that takes the F out of a grade point average and replaces it with a grade that shows that a student hasn't earned credit, but it minimizes or mitigates the impact on their GPA. And so again, that's an example of something we've done at a policy level and a systems level to try to address some of the challenges we're seeing as a result of the pandemic. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in a few minutes. So as I mentioned at the beginning, we are working on very specific strategies at a system level to address some of the things we're seeing in that data. So for example, you may remember in the spring, we put in place an incomplete and an A system. And so we're still working through some of that to make sure that we get kids on track for graduation. And so we had about 1,058 or 1,000, we actually had 1,058 courses where students received an incomplete. That turned out to about 475 students. And so what we're doing is a number of different ways to address those incomplete. So for example, one is backfill by taking the next course in the content area that has to be at the same level or higher. They can earn credit for the incomplete that they earned in the spring. Now, I think we had a conversation earlier in the year and even in the summer. That's not a practice we want to continue because we also want to make sure that as we are providing more comprehensive instruction in a remote setting, that we've addressed some of the challenges we had in the spring when we were just kind of starting out and getting moving. So we do still have an incomplete option, but we are working at making that a much more specific, refined thing. So if we go to our next slide, we are giving kids ways that they can resolve an incomplete, things like independent study, competency-based courses, et cetera. But really, we're taking away that backfill option for this year. And so the idea that you can take the next class really needs to be now much more part of it's not an automatic thing, it needs to be part of a plan. And so we've updated our administrative policy in response to OSPI guidance to say that when you're resolving an incomplete, we're not just going to have this automatic blanket approach, that you need to work with an individual student to identify what's the way that they're going to resolve the incomplete. And so an incomplete still remains an option for kids that need more time or maybe a slightly different approach to earn credit before they graduate, and it needs to be much more specific. In addition, I mentioned we made an adjustment to our grading system this year. Again, I think Bellevue is using the system and some of our other neighboring districts of replacing that F grade with an N or no credit grade. And as I mentioned earlier, that's addressed some of the impact that we're seeing from learning in a pandemic on students' GPA. So again, those are two systems level, policy level type changes that we've made to address some of the large impact we're seeing on particularly students at the secondary level where they need to earn credits to graduate. And in addition, it addresses some of the impact we see on things like GPA that students need to get into college or earn scholarships or get into work or post-secondary opportunity. So again, those are some of the things we're doing at a much higher level. In a little while, we're going to talk more specifically about what's happening at the school level as well. If we can go to our next slide. We are continuing to use credit recovery as well. And so you may recall that there was a slide that showed courses where students were not passing, and those are courses that were required for graduation. We've had a credit recovery program in place for a number of years. We've shared this with you over the years. Kelly Pease, our Director of Intervention, really has been leading this and developed it. And so this is a system that we had in place that is actually going to serve us well as we have more students that are needing to earn credit to graduate. And those credits that they're needing to earn are a result of learning in a pandemic. And so, as you recall, we have school year and summer credit recovery programs. Our schools get FTE or staffing that they can use to provide support in those areas. And it gives students who have failed a class an opportunity to make up some of the work and demonstrate competency so that they can earn credit for that course. So we can go to the next slide. So those are things that were in place and things we've done. We're also thinking about systems that we need to put in place now so that we're ready for the following year. And so I think we've shared briefly on this that we put in place a new universal screening and progress monitoring tool called FAST. And the idea there is that we are gathering information about student learning and student progress in literacy and math in grades K through 8. And then that information will serve us well as we start to think about what are the supports that kids will need as they return to school next year. And even thinking about how do we support students this year. I want to say about this slide briefly is we put a brand new assessment system in across hundreds of teachers and hundreds of classrooms on top of this tremendous workload that they have already. So it was a big, big lift. But we recognize that there is so much value in having good data this year and into next year as students start to return to school that we felt it was worth it. And we did scale back on a lot of kind of large scale initiatives, but this was one we just saw as absolutely essential to our return plans and to ways that we're going to help students moving forward. And I'll talk a little bit more about that at the end of the presentation, just about how we bring all of these different systems together. If we can go to our next slide. We also have some work going on around professional learning, and I'm going to let Emily Young, our Director of Professional Learning, speak to this. As I'm mentioning, we're thinking about how do we get people prepped and how do we make sure we have the things in place so that as we start to make shifts in the way we deliver instruction, we're equipped and ready to do that. So Emily, I'm going to turn this over to you for a few minutes just to talk about our work on professional learning.
Thanks, Mike. So we've really tried to structure our professional learning this year around one foundational text. Not that that was everything, but that it became a foundation that we could build upon in order to increase coherence. And that foundational text is the Distance Learning Playbook by Fisher, Hattie, and Frey, which you see pictured here. We gave that to all staff in August. And then we had an e-learning session for all staff to introduce them to the book, 16 building-based book studies that provided opportunities for collaborative work around this resource. And we were lucky enough to have Dr. John Hattie come and give our keynote speech at the beginning of the year to kick off our August LEAP. So that text is something that we built on top of over the course of the year. We have had bite-sized resource classes, like short little classes that were going into specific aspects of this text. We've also had a variety of other courses that have gone into different strategies for connecting with students online, adapting different forms of curriculum for students who are now learning online and teachers who are teaching online. Of course, we've had comprehensive technology training as all staff have had to get used to teaching in this new environment. And we've continued to modify existing programs, such as our new teacher support program, which provides one-on-one coaching for our new teachers. They too have transitioned that support online and provided concrete strategies for new teachers to use as they transition to this new type of instruction. We've also built out a variety of resources such as Flipgrid videos to show people these new strategies in action, and bite-sized learning resources with embedded instructional videos, which my younger staff members like to call TikTok-style learning. So really trying to broaden the scope of the type of learning opportunities we provide to make sure that people have all of the tools that they need at their disposal. And I should mention that this is just one segment of the professional learning offered in the district. We have had over 1,100 distinct professional learning events over the course of the year, classes, book studies, cohorts. There's all different kinds of work going on. And a lot of those learning sessions tie back to these foundational resources and build on that information, incorporating things like equity, but talking about that in an online world. Pass back to Mike.
Thanks, Emily. So in addition to some of the systems level things, we also have programs in our district that we've shared updates with you around different groups of students. And so I'm going to turn this over to three of our directors. Kelly Pease is going to talk about Safety Net and English learners. And then we're going to have Becky Cattermas talk about our highly capable programs. And finally, Shannon Hitch is going to talk about special services. So Kelly, you want to take over?
Good evening. Thank you for having me here to share information about our English Learner and Safety Net programs. We're adapting our programs with the return of some kindergarten and first grade students to in-person learning and some students remaining remote. It's a cause to adapt our Safety Net and English Learner programs to meet the needs of students who are in our English Learner program and are demonstrating at risk for reading difficulties based on the beginning and the middle of the year FastBridge assessments. It's important that, as Mike shared, that we have our FastBridge assessment, as it's been critical to give us information on student academic performance and growth in the midst of this pandemic data drought, where we don't have our typical large-scale assessments like the SBA. Our Safety Net teachers have been working diligently to assess all students in kindergarten through third grade who demonstrated some or high risk on the middle of the school year FastBridge data. They're currently digging into each of the students who scored at risk or some or high risk to dig more deeply into what are those discrete skills students are struggling with as they become proficient readers. To best meet the needs of students, we're moving from a school-based model of service to a regional model with smaller cohorts of 1 to 2 schools. Serving students in these smaller cohorts will allow us to serve more students in small groups based on those discrete reading skills. Our English learner students continue to be supported through small group instruction in reading, writing, speaking, and listening. Working with our comprehensive high schools, where we were able to identify students who are learning English so that we were put scaffolded supports in place so that they remain on track to graduate on time. As you may recall, we were not able to screen our students who are new to Lake Washington School District and new to kindergarten. Following guidance from OSPI, we identified all students we would typically assess as provisional, and we're supporting the students within our continuum of services in our English learner programs. Over the past couple of weeks, we've learned from OSPI that once a student who has been identified as provisional starts school in person, we have 30 calendar days to assess them using the ALPA 21 screener. Currently, there are 840 provisional kindergarten students, and about half of them, in addition to some first grade students, will begin assessing them on the ALPA 21 screener when they show up in school over the first few days that they're We'll give them a few days to adapt and do their SEL connections with their peers before we start assessing them on the screener. The thing that we've really learned throughout this remote learning is that throughout the pandemic, that positive caring relationships with our students remains key to individual student success. So with that, I'll pass it back to Mike.
I think we're next up with our highly capable and Becky Tattermas, our Director of Accelerated Programs.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I just want to give you a brief update on our highly capable programs. We do have 3 tiers of programming that we provide for students who are eligible for our services. The first one is our K5HC, or highly capable services. That's the 30 minutes a week for math and or reading. With the return of kinder and first to potentially in-person learning, we are making some adjustments to our schedule, and we will maintain at this time to have our groups be held remotely, which means it will be when students get back after their in-person time each day. And we don't have a lot of first graders. It's one of our lower numbers this year for some reason. So therefore, schedules will not be impacted for grades 2 through 5, which is a great thing to be able to share because that is a bigger lift. Once we complete our eligibility process, which I anticipate will be sometime mid-May or mid-March. It feels like May, but it's going to be mid-March. We will also begin the process of determining eligibility of kindergartners and providing services for the remainder of the year for our K5HC team. Pull-out Quest continues to be provided 1 day per week. It is in a remote setting. This is for grades 2 through 5, so their schedule with the return of K1 will not be impacted in any way. The next group will be our Full-Time Quest, which is also a daily program. They follow the general education school schedule, expectations for synchronous and asynchronous time. We will continue to do that until we have some agreements as to how we will provide services moving forward, as we are currently in conversation and bargaining for that. We are in a regional model, service model for our Full-Time Quest, which means we have 11 sites that provide services for all of our Full-Time Quest elementary students across the district.
Thanks, Becky. And we'll wrap up with Dr. Shannon Hitch for our special services.
Good evening. So in special services, we completed bargaining with our partners at LWEA last week, and then immediately pivoted to inform families and administrators and staff about some upcoming changes to our special ed programs. We've seen our in-person programs to be incredibly successful this year. We've been serving students since September. However, with the return of K1 students, we have an opportunity to reconfigure our programs, and this will allow our students to be able to access their general education classes as well as their special ed programs, and they will also to return to their neighborhood schools and programs. Our preschool model is going to stay as it has been. We've been serving preschool students in person all year, and we'll be increasing their class sizes. Unfortunately, we are unable to bring in our tuition-based students at this time, simply due to our need to limit class sizes and due to space issues. However, we are continuing to serve those students with remote teachers. Our elementary programs are seeing the greatest changes to their programs. We will be bringing students in special education back to their neighborhood schools with their grade level peers. So students in resource rooms will start coming back with their K1 peers, and then as each grade level comes back to school, their special education students will return to that school as well. In the resource room programs, students will be receiving both remote and in-person instruction at times, and they will be working with their special ed teachers and case managers to make that happen. Our students who participate in our learning centers or our intervention centers, they are going to return to school at the same time that K-1 returns, but they're going to bring back all grade levels. And so that will be a K-5 program that starts at the same time that K-1 starts, primarily because those teachers are teaching all grade levels of students, and most of those students have been accessing in-person learning since the start of the school year. The really good news, though, is that their days will be a little bit longer, and they will have access to their gen ed peers, which I know they are excited for. And then our secondary programs are going to remain the same as they have been. Those are 4 days a week, and we have the AM and PM sessions. So no changes are planned for right now. However, as secondary bargaining begins, we will have a seat at the table to consider how we can improve services for our students in special education.
Thanks, Jen. So we've shared with you some high-level systems work that we're doing, some work that's happening in programs. We also want to wrap up here. We've heard from a number of times from the board, and we've heard from our leaders and our teachers and our families and our students that having student voice is such an important part of the work that we do. And so Emily Young has pulled together a cross-divisional team that is working on gathering student voice, and we thought we would take a moment to share with you just how that's coming together and how it fits in our larger strategic effort. So I'll turn it over to Emily, and then I'll wrap up with a few last statements about how we're bringing everything kind of together under a larger umbrella.
Thanks, Mike. So I think this is a great sort of closing because it really relates to everything that we've talked about and all of the needs of our students across the system. So our goal with the student advisory groups is to empower our students and leverage their voice to help inform continuous improvement in the district. And really to amplify everything that they think and have that voice at the table. So we're establishing advisory groups at each level. So there's a high school advisory, there will be a middle school advisory, and an elementary advisory. And the goal is that students from across the district will come together to share their experiences, discuss ways that the district could best provide support, and help inform district decision making. The idea is that they will be able to bring some topics that they want to discuss to the table, and different groups within the district will also be able to bring topics to the table for students to discuss and to get student input on. In terms of the process by which students come to join the advisory, students may self-nominate, or they may be nominated by peers or teachers, staff, or administrators. And the final students selected for these groups provide representation from a cross-section of the district schools, programs, demographics. We really wanted to make sure that the student voice that we were gathering really incorporated all different parts of the district. So these groups are going to be co-facilitated by an equity and family engagement facilitator, a school administrator, and a central office administrator. And students will, again, select topics of discussion, and district will be able to bring specific topics to the table as well. The adults will be taking more of a side-by-side approach with our older students, and will be providing more support for the younger students who may have less experience with these types of organizations and systems. The high school advisory is all ready to kick off. We are having our first meeting next week. The middle school advisory is very much in process, having planning meetings. We are next in the process of gathering student nominations, and the first meeting will be in March. And the elementary student advisory is projected to have its first meeting in April. The return to elementary school, of course, has kept a lot of our elementary folks pretty busy the last few weeks, but we're looking forward to launching that and being able to use what we've learned from the high school and middle school advisories to inform the work in that. These groups will come together, they will do community building activities, really have a chance to connect and then build on each other's ideas and give feedback to the district. So we're really excited to hear from our students.
Thank you, Emily. So as a segue to the next part of our presentation that Dale Cody will be sharing, we want to talk about how we're bringing all of these things you've heard tonight together, and ultimately all the different systems level work and the programs we're putting in place. all has to happen at a school level. And so Dale's going to talk about that more, but I want to give you a framework to kind of connect everything we've talked about to what Dale will be talking about. And really this falls under that idea of a large multi-tiered system of support, and the idea of bringing together the different instructional, behavioral, and social resources together in a very integrated way. And so as we think about how that looks, and we've talked about these things tonight, if we go to the next slide, we recognize that when you're thinking about tiered systems of support, you have to think about what do all students need. And so there was a question that Gloria talked about, our core curriculum, and how do we make sure that it addresses issues of race and it addresses issues of learning standards that students need to accomplish. And we're making sure that kids are making progress. So what do we guarantee for everybody? In addition, Johnny mentioned things about what's the guaranteed supports for all students around social and emotional supports. And then we have to have ways to identify students who maybe need more. And so we have to have good assessment systems. And so we talked briefly about some of the different assessment tools we're using, whether that's panorama surveys or the FastBridge assessment or classroom-based assessments, to say which kids need some additional supports to get to the learning that we want them to get to. And so once we've identified those students, then we have to say, well, what are those supports? And so we've shared some of those with you tonight: academic, social, and emotional. And then in addition, as you're applying those supports, you will find that some students don't respond in the same ways or need more intensified supports. And so what are the additional kind of third tier of supports that students will need that maybe need to be applied, as I mentioned, in a more intense way for longer periods of time or for short bursts? And we need to think about that for all sorts of different learners. We need to think about it for students who are learning a second language, or students who are maybe maxing out on the learning in their class, or students who are struggling in a particular academic area or are struggling with self-management. And so as we think about that, there are some common threads that we're considering. So we're considering about how do we integrate these different supports. We're thinking about how do we differentiate for students and use this idea of universal design for learning and this framework of universal design for learning to really kind of start to customize the way that students experience their classes so that they get what they need. So if we can go to the next slide. And if you want, I think these are just, go ahead and click through all of them. John, there's a few more, or Matt, one more. So we've mentioned some of the things that are kind of core to MTSS tonight. So universal core curriculum for academics and behavior, those screening tools that we're using, tiered evidence-based interventions. We didn't talk as much tonight about the interventions that are going to need to take place academically, but those are in the works so that as we get data and information about students, we're actually applying evidence-based academic interventions to them. Johnny mentioned and Gloria mentioned some of the specific social and emotional and behavioral ones. But ultimately, these things need to now start funneling down into a school level. And so we need to have school teams that are really focusing on taking that data that they're seeing, taking the interventions that we've talked about, and really applying them to a school and a student and a classroom level. And so ultimately, that's where we're going to start to see real change and real shifts happen. In addition, as we mentioned tonight in our presentations, we have to think about how do we bring those community resources and the professional learning. And so the last slide before I turn it over to Dale is some of the partnerships that we're working with to really start bringing some of these together in addition to the partnerships that Johnny mentioned. So as you may know, we've been working closely with the University of Washington, OSPI, and the TIE Center around inclusive practices. And we've been working for a number of years with the Swift Education Center about building MTSS structures. Those folks are all at the table with us, really starting to discuss how do we bring these different systems together. And then we're most excited about a recent partnership that resulted from our work with the TIE Center around inclusionary practices with an organization called CAST that really is kind of the organization that has developed this concept of universal design for learning and will help us to start integrating that into our MTSS system. So those partnerships really are going to be that missing piece that we'll need to give us that technical expertise that will allow us to really start making progress on these academic supports that we're going to need to have in place as students start returning to school next year, and even if they're staying remote, so that we can make sure that they're making academic gains and we have academic success. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Dale, who's now going to talk, as I mentioned, much more specifically about kind of school level supports that will be taking place.
Great, thanks, Mike, and a good setup for our schools. As we think about all the tremendous programs that you heard about and systems that our colleagues put together and shared with you around social, emotional, and academic. Now we have what's it look like at the school level. And schools then assess the impact of all those programs and systems really down to the individual student, where they identify individual students or individual groups of students, and then really tailor the supports to really help them to be successful. So many of these supports address academic, social, emotional, and even other services I'll talk about tonight. And some of them actually address all three at the same time. These supports are put together with teachers and counselors and classified staff, administrators, parents, and community partners as well. I'm going to talk a little bit about kind of what tends to happen across schools and at elementary and secondary, and then some examples of what happened at different levels. So Matt, you want to go ahead to the next slide? So staff use data such as attendance, grades, panorama to help identify struggling students. And again, that's back to putting names on faces of kids that need additional supports. Other examples, counselors then, along with principals, set up systems to help track student progress and then design supports and interventions. Student intervention teams. These are teams that bring all sorts of professionals together, general ed teachers and administrators, school psychs and ELL teachers, special ed, safety net counselors. They really bring anybody that has knowledge of a student together to help design supports and intervention. The student intervention teams are used really as a pre-referral process before guidance teams. So they also do things like student staffing, which students who continue to struggle despite intervention, counselors then bring teachers back together again, involve parents, family members to really help identify what the student really needs to move forward. There are schools that develop this idea of staff champions of students of concern. I know schools look at their data every week or every couple of weeks, and staff really take on a certain number of students and work to meet regularly to discuss how students are doing and progressing in those. Obviously, informal communication and virtual events with parents in the community. So Matt, you can go to the next one. For elementary, teachers have family connection meetings on Wednesdays to help problem solve and provide support to families and students. Targeted students are invited in person to support on campus, which includes academic, counseling support, organizational supports, and so on. Principals bring on 4 or 5 students over the week to support the organizational skills, access, and homework completion. Members of a specialist team will partner with grade level teachers to offer one-to-one and small group check-ins with students. Some schools have Latinx groups that meet monthly, and parents attend and provide ideas and information to help as we learn how we can best support our Hispanic families and students. We utilize bilingual school staff to help connect with specific students and families for a variety of needs over the course of the week. Okay, Matt, you can go on to the next one. For secondary, small group learning sessions and academic intervention time during asynchronous time to provide additional support to any student. Schools develop plans to bring small groups of targeted students, 1 to 3 students, onto campus for in-person supports. It could be ELL, safety net, resource supports, peer tutoring, SEL supports, mental health therapy sessions, and so on. Counselors and administrators are doing individual outreaches to students and families to check in who are currently not being successful. Hey, Matt, go on to the next one. Home visits has been a tool that many, if not all of our schools are using. So through home visits, schools are able to identify and address the needs and support students in removing obstacles related to virtual learning. Home visits include, not necessarily limited to, providing technical support on site, just doing check-ins, seeing if they have the school supplies they need, helping delivery of pantry packs or connection of other community resources. SEL supports in each classroom daily. There's a check-in and check-out that happens at elementary for kids. Counselors provide small group sessions and social emotional learning. Schools schedule virtual class lunches with teacher or administrators. Counselors and administrators create student friendship groups that meet virtually. Schools offer partnerships of new families with experienced volunteer families, and they try to align and specify for grade and even language spoken for additional support. There's virtual student and family events for school spirit and connection. Go ahead, Matt, to the next one. For secondary, and I spoke about home visits a moment ago, and they as well go through home visits. In homeroom, there's academic interventions that happen in homeroom, and there's also schools providing lessons in homeroom that focus on positive mental health and social emotional support. Of course, I know Johnny spoke to this earlier. The Character Strong curriculum in middle schools happens during homeroom, and a lot of individual work with counselors and administrators, kind of reaching out to students and families to check in to see how students are doing, if they're being successful, and what other supports that they might need. Okay, Matt, you can move on to the next one. So some other services that kind of happen as a natural outfall of trying to find continued safety nets for supporting students and family. All staff really provide technology support to access learning, connecting to outside agencies for even rent and utility support, schools partnering with outside agencies to provide the needed food and clothing to families. Some schools have bookmobiles delivering books into 2 neighborhood locations, even lending libraries and laundry rooms and apartment complexes for families to use. Matt, the next one. I think our partnerships with PTSA, not only to receive pantry packs, but to help get them to students. Staff visit childcare programs to check in on students, provide additional materials. School staff help to coordinate community donations, things like printers and ink and paper, and help distribute those out to families. And schools connect families with discounted childcare providers, schedule school pickup, home deliveries, just a lot of those other services, again, helping to connect with food and needs. Lastly, I just want to mention through our equity and inclusion department, we have family engagement facilitators that provide direct support to school staff, students, and families of color. Just a few examples would be providing strategies for school staff to engage and build relationships with students and families of color, connect families directly to resources for housing, food, clothing, and health, participating on guidance team and other teams actually across the board, and student intervention to help build capacity of those teams to help work with these students, really intentionally addressing the disparity and the experiences of families and students. They consult with administrative teams to help plan and implement equity-centered and inclusive school cultures, which include family engagement strategies. And one more, Matt. Thank you. Some really specific examples, and these are all examples that, again, I could probably take just as many slides as we went through tonight with a variety of examples of what schools are doing, helping families facing eviction and partnering with community programs that you see there listed before you, and identified many families who did not have adequate access to technology and internet, and just working and coordinating with tech department and other departments in our district to help support families. So those are just kind of a quick, and I apologize if I went too fast, but it's really just a list of some things I wanted to highlight that happen across elementaries, across secondary, and across all schools that really help with academic supports, that really help with social emotional supports, and as you can see, some of the other services there.
Great. Thanks, everyone. That was a lot to pack into an hour and 40 minutes. So thanks for doing that. We're at 6:50. I just want to do a time check for everyone. I want to give everyone a couple minutes before we start the business meeting and make sure we also start on time for those who are tuning in. So if anyone has any clarifying questions on anything they heard tonight, ask them now. Otherwise, I think the best idea would be to, if you have more substantive questions, to send them to probably Dr. Holman, and then we'll he can route them to staff members. We can have them. I guess what I would ask is if Dr. Holman, if you receive any questions from board members on related to the presentation tonight, if you could have those answered in board briefs so that all board members would have the benefit of seeing those responses.
Absolutely.
Okay, great. Okay. Okay, so any just short clarifying questions that any board members have? If not, then we'll wrap up the study session and get ready for the board meeting. No, okay. Okay, thanks everyone. I apologize for cutting off discussion, but I just want to make sure that we're staying on time. Thanks to everyone all staff who came tonight, joined after hours to give a presentation tonight. Is really helpful to hear all the work that's going on and to hear it all at once too. It's helpful for me to to put it all together at the same time. Okay, so we've reached the end of our agenda for the study session tonight. There are no other agenda items, so the study session is adjourned.